And good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Firearms Friday. And as promised by the thumbnail, we've got our special guest with us this morning, one proper asshole. And it's good to see you this morning, brother. How you holding up?
I am holding up quite well. Rather enjoying the fact that it's finally decided to be more like winter down here.
Yeah, I've got to get the big permanent studio built and up and roaring as soon as possible, because this this temporary studio shed is not well insulated or properly heated and cooled. It's a little brisk out here this morning. My toes knows it. So, but this morning is Firearms Friday, as per usual, and we've got some DGUs for you. I've got a couple of good stories up here. But first, I want to address this. Last week we mentioned it came up as kind of a just kind of an offhanded comment with, well, not even no, it got some development, but Cameron mentioned, he would have liked to have gone further with the conversation if I'd have told him ahead of time that I was going to pull it as a short. And frankly, I didn't know ahead of time that I was going to pull it as a short. I thought he did a good job of explaining his position, and that was reason enough to put it out there. So, Cameron,
Okay.
you want to take over?
Yeah, sure. So last week, just as part of the conversation about rights and how rights work, I said that I believe felons that complete their sentence should be allowed to own a firearm because of how natural rights work. And of course, because as Chris said, I had no idea that it was going to be a thing. It was going to get cut up into a short, and there were people that reacted to the short that had some pretty typical reactions of, like, oh my God, like it'd be the wild, wild west. And so look, let me back up. This is not just something that I say to troll or to offend people. This is not just saying, yeah, well, I think you should be able to own a tank. Her Second Amendment. No, there's actually been a lot of thought and consideration that's been put into it, and I can encapsulate it like this. Every Second Amendment advocate, once you talk about gun control and how well gun control works, we all say some version of the same thing. If guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. That exact same logic applies to selling. Well, you have a felony conviction on your record, so you can never not just own a firearm again, you could never touch a firearm again. You could never touch a bullet again. You technically are not even supposed to knowingly be around a person with a gun in most states if you've ever been convicted of a felony. And that's actually a federal law, but there are some states that have stepped in to kind of soften the blow on it. It's a big mess. But the point is, if only outlaws would have guns, if guns were outlawed, when does that change? If somebody has a certain type of criminal conviction on their record, the only people that would affect would be people that, I don't know, maybe some January 6ers that shouldn't be convicted of anything at all. Or B, maybe somebody that did screw up in their life, but they've decided to do the right thing and actually live a good life after that point. Those are the only people that are going to comply with the felons shouldn't have guns laws. The felons that aren't going to comply already aren't going to comply. So that is, for me, that's kind of the jumping off point. That's that's what changed my thinking. Like, now wait a minute, holy shit, and maybe depriving somebody of their rights, especially the right to defend their life for the rest of their life, is stupid and a waste of ink and judicial resources. And I'm going to toss it back to Chris because he has a rather succinct way of saying what I just said.
Yeah, so quite simply, the fact is this. The people who you want to disarm cannot be disarmed by the law. The adage that Cameron mentioned, if guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. That's correct. If you make a law that says you are a criminal if you own a gun, then criminals will say, well, I'm already a criminal, so you're correct. I am a criminal and I own a gun. You cannot disarm people. You cannot disarm outlaws by making law. They simply do not accept it. And we've seen this has been a repeated theme in politics for some time, and even more visibly of late. It has always been the case that felons who get their rights restored tend overwhelmingly to vote Democrat. And there are states where felons are allowed to vote, and they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. And of course, even further, outlaws are not concerned with the law. We've seen Joe Biden say, I don't care what the Supreme Court says. I'm going to forgive student debt, and I'm going to do a moratorium on evictions. We've seen the various prosecutors pursue malicious prosecution against Donald Trump. We've seen Lois Lerner and what she did with the targeting of 501c3s. The outlaws do not care what the law is. That's why they're outlaws. So, Cameron, this is probably the second big issue that Cameron has actually brought me around on a reasonable argument. The other one being the death penalty, of course. And you haven't changed my position on the moral good of the death penalty generally, but I agree that our current government cannot be trusted with that level of authority.
Chris, don't go admitting that your mind can be changed. You're going to fuck up your brand.
Well, that's the beauty of a brush fire mind. It may be the case that the brush fire can be changed, but the funny thing about fire, if you ever had a serious problem and thrown a Molotov cocktail at it, you will suddenly have a very different problem. For example, if you're being attacked by a bear and you throw a Molotov cocktail at it, a brush fire creating incendiary device, you will suddenly have a very different problem.
That's probably the single greatest line from that show.
It really is. So I would like to illustrate Cameron's point about outlaws and their adherence to law. Here is a video, a story. I'll read the bit of the story real quick. Body camera footage from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office showcases a dramatic incident on September 19th when a probation violation arrest spiraled into a dangerous encounter. Deputies pursued James Mitchell Kerr, 41, who attempted to evade law enforcement on a riding lawnmower before pulling a handgun. The confrontation began when Deputy Robert Henderson attempted to apprehend Kerr for failing to pay child support or probation violation. When instructed to dismount the lawnmower, Kerr accelerated instead, prompting a brief chase. Now, I don't see anything in here that says that Kerr himself wait. I just made a statement that, let's see, following treatment for non-weapon, Kerr was booked in jail. He faced including assault. Okay, so, okay. I saw the word felony. I thought it was about to say that he did have a felony, but it said that he's being charged with a felony over this incident. But this is the sort of a person, hey, Mario's awake. Hey, you son of a bitch. But this is one of those where, the people who you want to disarm, they are not concerned with the law.
James, stop!
don't.
Get off the... Now! Get off! Now! Stop! 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 Stop now! Stop now! Get off! Get off now!
I'm getting off right now. Get off.
Now!
I'm getting off.
Step off! Shut it off and step off now!
I am. Calm
Get
down.
off!
Calm
Now!
down.
You run, I'm gonna tase you, James.
And I'm gonna.
He went for it. You ready?
Yeah. Have it.
Look at it. Look at his hand. Look at homeboy's hand right there. He drew the pistol on the cop, got tasered, and shot himself in the hand.
Send me another unit now. Shots fired. Suspect pulled a gun.
No,
He shot. Stand by. Suspect reached for a gun. Got tased. Round discharge from his gun. Start JCA'd another unit. Looks like he got shot in the hand.
He shot himself in the hand. He tried to evade arrest riding a lawnmower and then shot himself in the hand.
Yeah, you know, please tell me that story was out of Florida. It has that distinct aroma of Florida.
Oh shit! You know what?
You closed it?
I closed that article. Hang on, I can find it again real quick. But
No, it's fine. It's fine.
no, I gotta know. I gotta know now. Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan.
Well, but Michigan, for some reason, is technically in the SEC now, so I guess that sort of counts. So, but that's I don't even know what to say about that, other than what's your over under that there were intoxicants involved in that situation?
Right. I mean, because let's. Oh, his probation violation, and it didn't say what he was on probation for. Oh, let me read down a little further into the article. It says the suspect charged with multiple felonies, but the deputy was there. It doesn't say if he was charged with multiple felonies over this incident.
Oh, I guarantee you he was charged with multiple felonies over this incident because I guarantee he's been charged with felony fleeing, and that means he's not going to get a bond.
Right.
In fact, his best case scenario now is he sits in the local pokey for a year and then gets a plea deal that has the words time served in it. Like that's
the thing that I'm not clear on is whether or not he was a felon to begin with, but he certainly will be treated like one now.
Yep. And I also see that Legion is in the chat, which meant he was awake enough to be on the show. And joke's on him, buddy. I still can't take baths alone. I'm just responding to his comment. Look, I can't look. Takes a while to wash, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay.
All right.
So I am going to take a turn now, if that's quite all right with you, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead and share your screen again. I accidentally closed the last screen share tab, so just hit that real quick, and I'll pop you up there.
All right. I'm going to start reading, and I'm going to allow you to catch up. UPD road rage.
Hang on. Hit your screen share tab again.
I did. Oh, I see what it did. Now I have done it.
There we go.
Yes. Gotta love live is hard mode. All right. UPD road rage sends
Wait. Sorry. This is important. Good morning, Lincoln. Hey, buddy.
Okay. All right. UPD, road rage sends one man to the ICU after being shot. Urbana, Illinois, WA&D. Police said a road rage incident has ended with a driver in intensive care after being shot. Around 4:30 this afternoon, UPD went to the intersection of Busy Avenue and Park Street for a shooting with injuries. Police said they were made aware of the shooting. All right, wait a minute. Police said they were made aware of the shooting stemmed from a road rage incident that happened near 5 Points and continued through Busy Avenue and Park Street. A female driver and a male passenger engaged in a verbal fight with another man driving by himself. The female driver followed the car into Carl's Hospital Emergency Department parking lot, then pulled onto Park Street to create space between himself and the other vehicle. The female driver.
Quick question. Is there a city without a 5 Points? And is there a 5 Points in any city that is not essentially the asshole of the city?
Probably with good pizza, though.
Fair point.
The female driver and the male passenger exited their vehicle near Park Street. The woman allegedly was armed with a baseball bat. The man walked toward the other male driver with his hand under his shirt. The solo driver believed he was armed with a gun. The driver, a concealed carry permit holder, then drew out their legally concealed gun and fired several shots, hitting the male passenger. The driver called 911. The shot male passenger was transported to a local hospital for surgery and as of Saturday evening is in intensive care. Police continue their investigation and ask anyone with information to contact them, blah, blah, blah. Crime Stoppers, blah, 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 blah. At this time, no one has been arrested. So, all right. So just kind of first blush, road rage is stupid. I engage in it from time to time.
Yes.
But there's a point where, like, when you're following somebody, okay, as far as I'm concerned, as soon as you follow somebody, you've already elevated the threat. Like, to a pretty significant degree. The woman gets out of the car with a baseball bat. Now you've got somebody that's armed. It's a man and a woman, so you're outnumbered. And then the guy has got his hand under his shirt, so you assume that he also is armed, so you shoot him. Frankly, from the moral side of things, and this is the moral side of things, not the legal side of things. Don't take this as advice from a lawyer. But from the moral side of things, this is absolutely a justified shoot. You follow me. You outnumber me. You appear to have weapons, and you're approaching my vehicle. You might get shot. And I'm real sorry if you're just an asshole and you didn't deserve to get shot. But I'm not taking that chance. When you've already acted insane, like you're a grown-up, don't follow people in your car. And besides, legally speaking, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but legally speaking, as soon as you approach somebody with a baseball bat, that's already a clean shoot anyway. So
correct.
Frankly, both of these people are lucky they're not dead. And look, the solo driver might have started the incident. He might have flipped him off. He might have cut him off. He might have rolled down his window and called him everything but a church-going white boy. But still, you followed him, and then you apparently parked in such a way as to block off part of traffic. The whole thing about they parked in a way to create space near the hospital. That article was written like shit, by the way. I don't know if you noticed.
Journalism is not what we would call a high entry bar profession. It's an expensive entry bar profession. But
yeah, I would like to see that there were no charges filed. In general, if you do not fuck around, you will in fact not find out. And it sounded like these people were determined to fuck around and fuck around and fuck around. And then they found out. So
They did indeed.
I'd like
And
to see this driver not get charged. And yeah.
This is a somewhat unusual road rage case. Often it's difficult to tell who the asshole is in a road rage case because at the end of the day, the fact is the incident really and truly began when both participants chose to get out of their cars and engage with one another. Now, it may be that one of them is clearly at fault when you get the whole story out, but a road rage incident doesn't occur unless either both people voluntarily get out of their cars to engage in the incident, or one of them goes that extra step to try and pull something like a pit maneuver or block the other driver or entrap him, force him to stop. And of course, if somebody has taken a tactical position to force you to stop your car, then the reasonable thing does become, okay, you are now facing what you should assume to be an attempted kidnapping at a minimum.
Let me just correct something. The article stated that the female driver and her male passenger got out of the car. It didn't actually say that the solo driver exited his car. It looks like what happened is they followed him into a parking deck or some equivalent thereof and parked in his vicinity in such a way as to create the space, as the article refers to it. And then they got out of the car and approached his vehicle. So, but again, the article was written like shit. It makes it difficult to tell.
It does make it difficult to tell whether or not he got out. You're not wrong. I guess it doesn't say it one way or the other. So I guess he could have kind of leaned out the window and thrown the rounds that way.
Well, but at that point, once you've blocked me in, and once you've gotten out of your car and one of you is holding a baseball bat, how I choose to respond, like self-defense is self-defense, baby. The rules go out the window.
Yeah, because I mean, here's your basic legal advice. I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Every time.
Yeah, that's how that goes. And Mario, look, brother, we're making stew. If you want to throw salt, you've got a link to the chat. I mean, a link in the chat. So, or you could just stay there and keep taking pot shots in the comments.
Yeah, Mario, we understand. We understand. There's the whole trans bathroom issue going on in the house right now. I get it. If you need to be a little bitch, but they're there for you. So let's
move on. Another defensive gun use.
Switch it to the other tab.
Liberty says, why would he have gotten out? I'm going to assume you mean the solo driver.
Because being in a car outside of very limited circumstances is an incredibly tactically disadvantageous position.
Yes. Yeah.
Sitting in the seat with a window is basically the punch me box.
Yeah. I mean, you could basically find yourself trapped. He might have gotten out of the car in order to confront the threat, which is not unreasonable. Like, it is what it is. So, all right, Chris, please.
So,
regale us.
All right, Decatur. Oh, we're in Illinois again. A break-in at a Decatur residence Monday evening left one dead and another injured. According to a release from the Decatur Police Department, around 7:38 p.m., officers responded to reports of a shooting at a home in the copy editor, guys, in the 2000 block of East Damon Avenue. They found a 35-year-old man and 66-year-old female inside, both with gunshot wounds. Oh, shit. Emergency medical personnel took both to the Decatur Memorial Hospital, where the man succumbed to his injuries. The woman sustained non-life-threatening injuries, according to Decatur police. Officers secured the crime scene at the residence before conducting a search of the property. Detectives recovered a handgun and 4 shell casings, which matched the caliber of the gun. Okay, before I go any further, so far all I've got is 2 people were shot. And I don't have, did they shoot each other? Were they shot by a third party? Like, we've got a lot of facts here, and we're missing a lot of chunk of the story, apparently. So, witness statements and video surveillance footage, oh shit, son, indicated the woman was at her home when the man entered the property unlawfully. Okay. During this, a family member of the woman arrived at the home and encountered the man. He attempted to continue into the residence when the family member shot at him with a handgun multiple times, striking him. Further investigation revealed the man was on mandatory supervised release through the Illinois Department of Corrections. Oh dear. He had no association with the residents, Decatur police added. The family member identified, well, thank you. Finally, identified as a 48-year-old man, has a valid FOID card and active concealed carry license. Decatur police and the Macon County State's Attorney. Decatur police making it. Is this Illinois or Georgia? Are continuing with the investigation. Anyone with relevant information is encouraged to contact the Decatur Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division at 217-424-2734 or Crime Officers. Okay.
So a guy gets out of jail, decides to go pick a fight
with an old lady.
Yeah, that's this.
And I mean, 66 years old. I've got some older ladies watching that are. I'm sorry, but let me tell you something. If you're a 35-year-old man waving your gun at a woman who is over the age of 40, son, you are a damaged winter child who is assaulting and abusing an old lady. You should be ashamed. Your father's ashamed.
Well,
I mean, you don't know him, but he's ashamed.
I think this actually ties back to how we opened the show. The kind of people you want the law to protect you from. It's actually difficult for the law to protect you from those kind of people. Like, he was on supervised release. That means he paid a bond, or somebody paid a bond. They slapped an ankle monitor on him and let him out of jail pending trial. And when they let you out of jail pending trial, that's supposed to be that they can't hold you indefinitely until they convict you, a constitutionally guaranteed right. However, how that functions in the legal world is, okay, if we let you out on bond, are you going to do the right thing or the wrong thing? Are we going to send you to prison, or are we going to slap you to wrist and give you probation? This guy apparently chose prison. So yeah, it's yes.
Well, he thought he chose prison. It didn't work out that way for him, because it did say that where the man succumbed to his injuries. So he got some of that arsenic and old lace, suicide by old lady. But he made poor choices.
And I think I think with these stories that come out of Illinois in particular have got all these details about, oh, he was a concealed carry holder. This many shell casings were found at the scene of the crime. Illinois is not a gun-friendly state. Like,
no.
Don't think that your reciprocal concealed carry permit applies in Illinois, because you might end up in jail. Don't make that mistake.
Correct.
And I think the reason why all those details are included in the story is for legal reasons, because Illinois is so un-gun friendly. If they're going to report it, they have, I'm going to say, a duty to the facts of the case, which is hilarious on so many levels. But I think that's why they include all those little details, because they're important. It's the difference between that old lady getting charged with a homicide.
Right. And let me throw this out there. Waller says, IDK, them 65 plus ladies could be a real nasty bunch. My granny, my grandmother on my father's side, she used to carry a 44 Magnum in her purse. And, for any of you who have never shot center mass on a paper target at 100 yards with a 44 Magnum revolver, I'm just saying. That's that's a thing. But that said, also, it bolsters another point that we like to make on this channel often. Anybody calling themselves a feminist should absolutely be pro-gun, because God created man and Sam Colt made them equal. The firearm is the great equalizer. Ladies, you are not going to come up and take me in a fist fight. You're not going to beat my ass in the street with your bare hands. I'm a 300-pound, 6.5-foot tall man with experience in hurting people with my hands. And there are guys out there that fit that description that are not nice people. Now, I'm a teddy bear. People love me. I'm a hugger. But there are assholes out there that are also big fat dudes. And I'm sorry, sweetheart, unless you're an Olympic boxer, your femininity is not going to be the thing that overcomes an aggressive opponent. A firearm will do the trick for you. It is the great equalizer.
Yeah. Oh, and Waller had a fantastic pun in the chat there. I thought you might appreciate it.
That is whew. I already regret having shared that one with you.
All right. So
you want to do another one? Do you have one more pulled up?
Right here.
All right, go ahead and hit the share tab.
And okay, should be sharing now. Okay. All right.
Oh.
Armed robbers find out Texas style the truth about guns. Look, we've said that before I even go into it. Like, why do you even attempt this type of crime in Texas? Why? Yeah. The first time Count Dankula came to America, he went to Texas to go meet with Alex Jones. And at one point in time, he walked into a gas station to buy a pack of cigarettes. And he looked around. The shop owner was armed. The guy in line in front of him was armed. And the guy in line behind him was armed. And one of his friends said, well, I mean, wasn't that dangerous? Did you feel unsafe? And he said, no, I felt completely safe. That was the safest gas station I'd ever been in, like ever, because everybody was armed.
Man, because, I mean, it's Texas, right?
A bottle of Jack Daniels, please.
Here you go.
Thanks. What's this?
That's your gun. Buy some liquor, get a free gun.
Is that like a special you have on now or something?
Nope. Texas state law. You have a nice day now.
State law?
I'm going to play.
That's one of my favorite Family Guy moments ever.
Okay, so a pair of armed robbers learned what it meant to find out in the great state of Texas when they attempted to rob a 34-year-old San Antonio man in the early hours of August 25th. Man, this story is way too old. Whatever, I'm going to roll with it. As of now, no arrests have been made, but the incident is currently under investigation by the San Antonio Police Department. The assailants spotted their would-be victim on the 200 block of Ranch Valley just before 3:50 a.m. on Sunday. That's when they approached the 34-year-old and made their move, which would prove to be the wrong move, as he drew his own handgun in self-defense and fired at the two armed men, shooting one suspect in the head and providing the other with some new hip jewelry. Man, whoever wrote this had fun. When officers arrived on the scene, they found a 23-year-old suspect lying on the ground with a critical gunshot wound to the head. Is there any other type of gunshot wound to the head? Miraculously still alive. He was
Well, I mean,
transported.
there's the ear.
Brother, that was a critical gunshot wound. That's
Yeah, no shit. That gunshot wound changed the course of history because that was the moment when Donald Trump won the election.
yeah, that gunshot was going to change the course of history one way or another, and I'm glad it went the way that it did. Miraculously still alive, he was transported to the hospital by emergency medical services, where he was listed in critical condition. The second suspect had been hospitalized separately, with San Antonio Police Department investigators later confirming his involvement in the altercation after questioning witnesses and the suspect himself. Incidents such as this one occur every day and every time of day. Being a responsible and prepared gun owner can mean the difference between life and death. Since carry laws are not equal from state to state, a travesty of what is supposed to be the overarching law of the land, that is the Second Amendment, it is important to understand your local laws when it comes to carrying a firearm and defending yourself. No, it should not be like this. You are supposed to have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, I'm not going to finish reading the fluff. Basically, somebody decided to attempt a robbery in Texas, and it had an entirely predictable outcome. Like,
Yep.
entirely. And let me just put a pin in something. When the idea of the format of Firearms Friday came around, it was born from the idea, actually from something Obama said, where he was disparaging the concept of a good guy with a gun. Well, how often does that happen? Oh, a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. Well,
Yep. Every single day.
yeah, every single day. Even if you call the police and the police stop the bad guy, it's still a good guy with a gun. Either the crime goes on and the bad guy gets away, or a good guy with a gun stops the bad guy with a gun. There is no in between. It's one of those two states.
Correct.
So what the format of the Firearm Friday was born out of, okay, well, that's bullshit. Good guys with guns all the time stop bad guys with guns. And it's often citizens. And one of the things that is often not reported and difficult to uncover in these stories is that Bearing, not Bearing, but Bear. That's great, buddy.
There is your comment of the day.
There's your comment of the day. Woo, that threw me. No, but the point is that we said, okay, oftentimes just the mere fact of the potential victim being armed is enough to end the encounter.
Yeah.
Often these criminals are weak. They're bullies. They're predators, and predators tend to pick off the old, the slow, the weak, the young. You know, when lions hunt, you know, they don't tend to go for the easy prey. They tend to go for what they can pick off, and it makes total sense. They're trying to hunt. They're trying to eat. They don't need a fight. They just need to make a kill. And a lot of times these criminals, because of drugs or because of poor raising or maybe just a head full of bad wiring, tend to think like animals, not like people. And when you're dealing with somebody that thinks like an animal, resistance will make a lot of animals just run away. They're not looking for somebody that can be loud and fight back.
Right. I'm glad you read into a little bit of the fluff there, and they were talking about how the supreme law of the land is the Second Amendment, and it should not be the case that these different states have different rules. And we've talked about this a bit before, and it's something that the new president, Donald Trump, the incoming president, the the 3-time electoral champion, walking into his three-peat. He's pushed for countrywide concealed carry reciprocity. Now, that is not sufficient, but kind of like firing 85% of the government, it's a good start. Now, what should happen, what the law demands, is that all laws referencing firearms be repealed as unconstitutional, and every signatory to each of those laws should be incarcerated for the violation of their oaths, stripped of their offices, and made to repay all of the money that they've been paid in salary by the federal government. But this is a start. This is a step in the right direction. Trump's push for countrywide concealed carry reciprocity has legs now that Republicans hold Congress. President-elect Donald Trump has reiterated a commitment to signing a nationwide concealed carry reciprocity law. What that means, what a nationwide reciprocity law would mean, is that if you are licensed to carry in any capacity in any state, then that is the same as being licensed to carry in any other state. Now, for us in Georgia, like, we don't have to have a license to carry. And we are now a constitutional carry state. You don't need a license to carry a firearm, even concealed, in Georgia. That said, if you have a Georgia carry license, there are states where there's reciprocity. Right? There are other states to which you can travel, and I'm not going to try to list them off at the top of my head right now because I might get one wrong and get in trouble with that. But there are states where you can travel with your Georgia carry license, but even that's tricky. Let's say, for example, I'm not saying that we have license reciprocity with the state of Maine. However, as an example, let's assume that we did have license reciprocity with the state of Maine. You drive from Georgia to Maine with your guns stored, unloaded, locked case, what have you. You're wearing your regular daily carry concealed weapon the way you normally would while you're going about your business in Georgia. You win the lottery, the moose hunting lottery, because that's the only way you get a license to hunt moose is you have to enter the lottery. And then you win a license to hunt one moose, and you drive to Maine. You drive, it's a 24-hour drive, and it's a pretty drive. And on your way to Maine, you have to drive through New York. And you get pulled over for, I don't know, what's a common traffic violation you get pulled over for in New York? You've got a Donald Trump bumper sticker on. Right? So, New York State Patrol or New York City cop or one of their little local municipality cops sees that you've got that Trump sticker, they pull you over. And, well, of course, that means you're a terrorist and they're going to search your car. And now all of a sudden, even though what you're doing is you're driving through the state of New York to get to the state of Maine, you are going to be treated like a terrorist and railroaded over the fact that you have firearms. Right? So a nationwide concealed carry reciprocity law is a very good step in the right direction. That's gonna be interesting when it comes to places like New York, New Jersey, Illinois, where they have these onerous and unconstitutional illegal gun laws that I cannot overstate this case. If you are a person who wears a badge, if you're a police officer, law enforcement officer of any kind, and you have ever been involved in arresting someone for nothing other than the crime of owning a gun, you are a criminal. You are a rogue actor. You are acting not only in violation of the law, but in support of seditious subversives bent on conducting a coup against the United States and her Constitution. The only thing lower than you in hell is treason. But a nationwide reciprocity, kind of like we've talked about it with the the so-called constitutional carry states, they're a big step in the right direction. It doesn't quite get where we're supposed to be, but it's a big step in the right direction. And I would say, you got a bit of a white pill here, cautiously optimistic, because we have been winning on gun rights across the country. We've got the Bruin decision. We've got so-called assault rifle bans being overturned by courts all over the country. And we are now I think we're at 27 out of 50 states are now so-called constitutional carry states, and that number is climbing daily. Well, okay, not daily, obviously. If it was climbing daily, we'd be done. If it was climbing daily, we'd all be wearing, 357 Magnums on our hips in Hawaii. But, we're getting there. We're getting there. We've made huge gains just over the past few years, and I'm very heartened by that. So, Cameron, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
I just wanted to touch that Liberty Girl says the problem is defending yourself can get you in trouble. And Waller mentioned Daniel Penny. And look, that point is not lost on me.
Agreed.
The thought of legitimately being in fear and then being treated as though I am the bad guy because I was legitimately in fear is a terrible, tragic idea. And what's happening with Daniel Penny in particular is it's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. However,
well, Daniel Penny.
Hold on.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to talk about Daniel Penny. I was trying to address the self-defense concerns. You have to be alive to defend yourself from legal problems. If you decide that you are not going to do a thing because you are afraid of the consequences, that is, on the surface, a perfectly reasonable conclusion. But I lived in Georgia during the Summer Olympics of '94. And there was this guy named Richard Jewell who was a hero. He was a security guard who noticed a suspicious package, called it in, and it ended up being a no-shit bomb. God knows how many people could have been maimed or killed. Just look at what happened at the Boston Marathon. Okay. And because Richard Jewell was awkward and lived with his mom and unattractive, and somehow the media narrative became that he was this weirdo who might have even set this whole situation up himself so that he could look like a hero. And his name was just dragged through the mud, caused him all these problems, embarrassed him, embarrassed his mother, turned into all these things. And of course, once the truth came out, he was vindicated, but not before his life, so-called, had been destroyed. But one of the things that came out of this is like, okay, what happens when the next security guard getting paid $10 an hour sees a suspicious package and says, man, fuck that. I'm not calling it in. I might get in trouble.
Yeah, I saw what happened to the last guy. Fuck that. I'm going for coffee.
Exactly.
I'm gonna run down to the corner market to get a cup of coffee and find a new job. And
then in particular, like with the Daniel Penny thing, look, he restrained somebody that was having a psychotic episode on a subway. What if Daniel Penny had not restrained that guy and he'd accidentally killed somebody as part of his psychotic episode? Then what? Yeah, Daniel Penny doesn't get in trouble, but now somebody is dead. Could you argue that it's a tragedy that the guy having the psychotic break is dead? Yes, but nobody else was having a psychotic break. You having a problem does not eliminate my right to life. It just doesn't. Your rights stop.
You're tracking that the guy Daniel Penny didn't kill the guy, right? You're tracking that the guy was still alive when the police got there.
Oh yeah.
And for several hours after Daniel Penny no longer had his hands on him. Daniel Penny, quite frankly, he committed a very serious crime. This happened in the state of New York, in New York City, right?
Yeah, he's a white guy that put his hands on a black guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He committed a very serious crime under New York law. He committed the crime of being white.
Yeah, and God forbid you stand up for yourself or defend yourself. God,
if he shows up to court in a summer dress, he'll be fine.
Look, just to tie it into one other thing, brother, is that you beeping? It's got to be you. I keep hearing a beep. It's got to be coming from your end.
No, it can't be. I'm not hearing it. It would be coming through the microphone into these.
It sounds like it's an internal bit. Well, whatever, fine. I have said for some time now that Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. And when I say Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong, I don't just mean that he never should have been charged, which he shouldn't have been. No, what I mean is, once upon a time, not that long ago, young men like Kyle Rittenhouse were the norm. That was the expectation. Oh, your neighboring village is being attacked by bandits that are burning things down. Well, you gather up all the young men in your village and you go fight them off because that's your neighboring village and it's being attacked by bandits. I heard more than once somebody say something like, it would go something like this. Well, what Kyle Rittenhouse did was stupid. It was unwise. It was, okay, he never should have been charged, but he shouldn't have been there. No, I disagree. As long as we continue to have that attitude where we refuse to confront problems, we're going to continue to have problems. Now, of course, we cannot eliminate all problems. That's not how the world works. But you can always make them worse by refusing to deal with them. As long as we continue to accept the premise that the left gives us, that things like firearms are aggravating factors in crimes, well, we're still playing the game and the rules as they set them. Kyle Rittenhouse should be venerated. In fact, every other man or young man, and I do mean including like 16, 17-year-old men, that did not attempt to defend their community or their neighboring community should be ashamed. And and this is like the Felons with Firearms thing. I realize it's hard for some people to hear. Be like, oh, we need to throw our young men at violent situations. Sometimes, yes, that is in fact the answer. And I promise most young men with just a little bit of proper raising, oh, buddy, they're ready.
Yeah.
Don't give me a chance. Look, I don't know how many of you have seen like the different the different reels that have been put out where like when women die, they want to be surrounded by loved ones. And then when men die, they want to be surrounded by like enemies. Like, and they finally just get overwhelmed by the masses. Like, that's a true thing. That's a true thing. Liberty Girl sums it up really well. She says, looking the other way is what got us here today. And then there's somebody, I'm going to, Diet Sodi. Boy, I love Twitch names. Diet Sodi says they're getting their first gun soon. Good. But let me warn you, you will not stop at one.
And you know what? Here's Diet Sodi. If you're getting your first gun soon, if you don't already know what you want, let me throw you a pro tip. If you've never had a firearm before, take a friend who knows guns, go to a firing range. There are a lot of gun stores firing. I don't know where you are. Here in Georgia, for example, if you can go to the gun stores that have a firing range, and most of them will let you rent a gun, right? So you can go in and rent several different guns one at a time. I'm not sure about Wisconsin, but I suspect you could find something like that. You can rent different guns and you could try them. Do you like a 9mm? Do you like a wheel gun? Do you like a semi-auto? Do you want, are you looking for a certain caliber, 357, 40 cal, whatever? You can go try them on. Go test drive some guns.
Yeah, and you'll find as you go to gun ranges, those are some of the friendliest places you will ever go to. You don't need to be embarrassed about not knowing what you're doing at a gun range because everybody there, like it's a club. You want to go to a truly egalitarian place, go to a gun range. How old you are, whether you're straight or gay, black or white or whatever, nobody is going to care. Everybody's going to be like, oh, man, you got the Kimber, huh? Well, I got the Glock 19. And look, it's very cool places. So go rent some guns, try them out, ask questions. Everybody there is going to be super, super friendly. And I see Waller in the chat. I just want to touch this. I know we're coming up on an hour. He has said that Daniel Penny and Kyle Rittenhouse were charged because they embarrassed the government. And he says, we're scared to do the right thing because we've all gotten used to being able to do the wrong thing and don't want someone doing the right thing to us when we're slipping. Yes. Yeah. That's why when I talk about these things, I talk about the attitude, the premise, the
keyboard warrior attitude, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Nobody gets punched in the mouth anymore, so they feel like they can get away with anything they want to say.
Yes. So it's about the mentality. It's about the culture. And as long as we allow the left to continue to dictate the culture, they're going to continue to dictate. How do you think we ended up with the fact that there's even a transgender bathroom debate? It's not because the right was okay with it, but it is because the right tolerated all the baby steps up to the point of it becoming an issue.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with saying, no, I don't agree with that. The same people that tell you, hey, if something in your gut tells you that these are red flags on a date and you should just walk away from the guy, these are the same people that tell you you're wrong if you don't want somebody coming into your bathroom. Now, all of a sudden, those same red flags can go out the window. You're a bigot if you listen to them. Well, no, listen to your red flags. It's fine. It's all about the mentality. And I will now shut up and allow you to tell us.
So going into the safety brief, and since we're on these topics, Waller says everyone at a gun range would rather you not know what you're doing than have you think you know what you're doing. We love inexperienced people. Oh,
boy, that is a true statement.
Tim Pool often talks about this with skate parks and the skater culture. You're 9-10 years old with your first skateboard. You show up at the park, and you ask. Even if you don't ask, if you just look like you don't know what you're doing, they'll come over and try to help you out. You go to a gun range and tell somebody it's your first time in, that you've never held a pistol before, you don't know what you're doing. We love to have that conversation. Now, Waller and I might be a little more down that road because I've trained soldiers in basic rifle marksmanship all the way up to advanced rifle marksmanship at the battalion level. I've trained literal hundreds of soldiers at a time to correctly implement their firearms in the conduct of war. And I've also taught classes. One of my favorites, I taught a class to a bunch of young ladies who had various professions where they have to meet people at their homes, real estate agents, photographers, insurance saleswomen, all the kind of gigs where you're going and meeting strangers for a living. And you'd be crazy not to have a gun in your purse, ladies, to do that. So, as far as the bug to teach people about proper firearm safety, technique, and maintenance and all that, I might have it a little harder than most guys, but anybody who's going to the gun range and taking care to make sure that they are practiced and trained and skilled and ready to correctly conduct themselves with their firearm, they will be thrilled to make you a better man by showing you how to operate that weapon, or to make you a better woman by showing you how to operate that weapon, by showing you how to correctly prepare yourself to be tactically and strategically effective in your own personal defense and the defense of others. And that's
Diet
your safety brief.
Sody, where were you an hour ago? I'm not left or right, but this hot take, I think we should not have a female president. How many women are watching us right now?
I was about to say that's.
How many am I going to piss off by 100% agreeing?
Well, the ladies that are watching right now, the women in my life that I love who are likely to see this, and the women whose opinion I might care about on the topic know that I will never vote for a female president. A woman has no business in combat, and she has no business leading troops in combat or commanding troops into combat. It is that simple. I will never vote for a woman for president.
Yeah, like the Joan of Arc is special because she's rare. Like you're kidding yourself. It's yeah, it is what it is.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin.
Brother.
Oh, say again.
Honestly, I need more coffee, brother, and we're
I'm out.
at an hour.
It's So y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you on Monday. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe later today. But definitely on Monday.